I've got a witness set up down the road in Westview, and this morning it looked like he flew the coop.
Your missing person is in the witness protection program.
I have contacted known associates, relatives.
And let me guess, none of them have seen him either.
No, none of them have ever heard of him.
Hey guys, and after a full year and a half, the MCU drought is finally over with the Disney Plus show WandaVision. And this show is full of so many Easter eggs and mysteries, so many things to delve into that looks like I'm finally back out of retirement. And it looks like I'm going to the races really hard and have already uncovered one of WandaVision's greatest mysteries, the question of who is Agent Woo's missing person? That's what we're going to be looking at in this episode of Constant Review. Now, I feel like this spoiler warning should go without saying, but this episode is going to be about the show WandaVision. We're going to be talking about some of the things that have happened up to episode 4. So if you're not caught up to this point, you should probably watch that before coming back to this video. But if you've watched up until then, you're good to go. So far, WandaVision has done a great job of answering all of our questions about what has been going on between Vision and Wanda. Just kidding. It's basically devoted an episode to just being the audience and asking those questions themselves.
So you're saying the universe created a sitcom starring 2 Avengers?
Just Jimmy Woo and a whiteboard writing down all the questions the fans are thinking. And a little meta commentary, which I love, from Dr. Darcy Lewis saying, you know, they have about as much information as we do. They don't even know what's going on.
Sitcom.
But why?
Hey man, we're working with the same scarcity of intel.
But WandaVision has done a great job of bringing back and tying in characters from across the cinematic universe already. In episode 4, we are reintroduced to Dr. Darcy Lewis, who is now a doctor in astrophysics, a huge change since the last time we saw her in Thor: The Dark World. And the last thing we knew about her education was in Thor, when we found out that she's actually a social sciences major.
Heuristic of an Einstein-Rosen bridge.
A what?
I thought you were a science major.
Political science.
She was the only applicant.
So I guess meeting hunky Asgardians from space can really convince someone to change their major. But along with Dr. Darcy Lewis, we're also getting the return of Agent Woo, who we last saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and has had the greatest character arc of any character so far in the MCU.
Do what?
The card trick.
Seriously? Hey. Sir, can you knock?
James E. Woo, FBI.
As well as the return of Monica Rambeau that we last saw in Captain Marvel, except now it's been a lot of years, and she's all grown up and ready to be a superhero of her own. And while the series packs in so many mysteries already, some of which fans think they've already solved, and some which they have no idea whatsoever, and some which can fill up whiteboard after whiteboard, we're just going to devote ourselves into solving one particular mystery, into who is the missing person that Agent Woo is looking after. Who went missing that kicked off all of this?
Missing persons?
I know, but...
And so before I tell you who I think it is, I think it's important to go through the evidence of some of the reasons to why I'm pretty sure I already know who our suspect is. First of all, Endgame and now WandaVision have been doing a great job about bringing a lot of people back that we haven't seen in a long time. We'll note that at the end of Endgame, they brought back characters like Natalie Portman, who we haven't seen since Thor: The Dark World. They brought back Harley Keener from Iron Man 3. And so these characters that we thought may have been dropped by the MCU are being brought back and shown that they're still important. They still exist in this universe. WandaVision episode 4 brings back Dr. Darcy Lewis, who we also haven't seen since Thor: The Dark World. So it's been almost 10 years in the cinematic universe since the last time that she's had an altercation with shield or sword, or at least one that, is being televised to us. And since they're doing so many tie-ins in this series, it stands to reason that the person that Agent Wu is in charge of might actually be a tie-in to something we've seen a long time ago. We have to remember that even in Far From Home, this was also a concept. In Spider-Man Far From Home, we found out that the identity of Mysterio, the big bad of that movie, was actually Quentin Beck, a former Stark employee who had worked on the Barf system, terrible name, that we had been introduced to in Captain America Civil War. So far, WandaVision has been doing great times of pulling in a lot of different characters, and in episode 5, they pull in a character that was completely out of the blue. It's very clear that making these tie-ins and connections are very important to the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. And so it's reasonable to assume that whoever this missing person is either going to be an important character in the MCU going forwards, or was already an important person in the MCU if we look back. That would indirectly make the ideal candidate for this missing person to be someone who both was in the MCU before and would have a big impact on the direction of the MCU in the next coming films, thereby setting up a future plotline and helping tie together this whole universe. So the next clue that we have to look at is the fact that this person is in witness protection, which is a very specific term. Despite the fact that last time we saw this character, he was in charge of watching Ant-Man and watching after Paul Rudd, who wasn't in witness protection. He was just on house arrest. This person has been very specifically mentioned to be in witness protection, implying that while they may or may not have committed a crime themselves, they definitely have information or are willing to testify against someone who definitely committed a crime. And there are definitely a few candidates in the Marvel comics that meet this goal, but we're trying to really isolate it to people who we have seen in the movies so far. And the last clue I want to draw your attention to before we crack this case wide open is a slight piece of meta commentary that we already know about someone that's going to show up in the upcoming episodes of WandaVision. And this is notably a leak of sorts from Paul Bettany, who mentioned that he was thrilled to work with a certain character who had joined the cast of WandaVision, and it was very important to him. He kind of spoke about it in a reverential tone, implying that this would be someone amazing that he's always wanted to work with. And for me, immediately that sparked ideas in my head of famous legendary actors that would reasonably have the possibility of appearing in WandaVision. Two of these, most notably, of course, would be Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, who played Charles Xavier and Magneto in the Fox X-Men series. And now that, of course, Disney owns the movie rights to all those characters, either of those could reasonably appear in the universe, especially with the fact that Magneto is Scarlet Witch's father in the comics. But of course, this could not refer to an X-Men character at all, in fact refer to just another character and possibly be a hint at the identity of the missing person. And so now that I've talked about the reason to why I believe it's this person specifically, it's time to unveil that the missing persons case and the person in witness protection in WandaVision is none other than Trevor Slattery, the Mandarin.
And you'll never see me coming.
At this point, I'm sure you guys are saying, what the heck is wrong with me, and have I gone completely out of my mind? The Mandarin's portrayal by Trevor Slattery, of course portrayed by Ben Kingsley, was one of the most disliked things that happened in the MCU. A lot of people absolutely hated the reveal that Trevor Slattery was just an actor and wasn't actually a supervillain, as the Mandarin is typically portrayed as Iron Man's greatest foe in the comics. Having this replaced by some puny actor and making the real villain of the movie, Aldrich Killian, annoyed some of the fans. So how dare Trevor Slattery make an appearance in WandaVision? And Phase 4, nonetheless. And to people who say that, I think it's very important that before you do anything, you go check out a Marvel One Piece called All Hail the King. This one-shot is not only canon in the MCU, but makes a huge reveal and continues a little bit more about the Trevor Slattery story. In this one-shot, we find out not only that Trevor is still alive and at the time incarcerated in Seagate Penitentiary, but is not actually the real Mandarin. In fact, the real Mandarin appears to be very annoyed that this man has been masquerading using his name. And why this is key is that in the upcoming Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings movie, the Mandarin is going to make another appearance, but this time as the real Mandarin. And so bringing back the reference to a character that happened 10 years ago would be ideal right now. It would bring back a plot line that people had long since forgotten and really help set up another movie. And also onto Paul Bettany's quote, the actor who plays Trevor Slattery, Ben Kingsley, is a legend of film and would probably be someone who people would love and remember working with. But of course, this reveal could create just as many questions as answers, because why would this person just happen to be in the same town that kicked off this story? What exactly is his connection to what's going on in Westview? And who's really behind all this? And could it really just be Wanda? Well, we're going to have to find out as we keep watching. But for now, that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about who the missing person actually is. And I guess we'll find out together in a few weeks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.